There really has never been a better time for a working adult, a non-traditional student to go back to college, whether you're starting from zero or you're looking to transfer in credit. Perhaps you have some work skills. Regardless, if you're looking to get that degree attainment, no matter what level, there are more options that are more flexible and more attainable than ever before. Two-thirds of our graduates the last 2 years finished with zero debt. And, it's because they understand, and we really help them understand how to use the combination of transfer credit, corporate reimbursement, et cetera. And what you want is you want to make college a car payment, not a house payment. And so if you can come out and make it manageable, the best thing you can do is graduate with very little debt. And that way you're purely leveraging the education for you as opposed to leveraging the education to pay back someone. And so it's a great time to go back to school for sure.
Welcome to Linda's Corner, where we bring more hope, healing, and happiness to the world. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about overcoming financial barriers to higher education. I'm delighted to welcome Dale Leatherwood. Dale is a leader in higher education. He is the Chief Marketing Officer at Columbia Southern University and the co-founder of an education concierge firm. You can reach Dale through social media, and I'll include those links in the show notes. Welcome, Dale. I'm so glad that you could join with me today.
Thank you so much, Linda. Very, very happy to be here.
I have been looking forward to this conversation, and it has brought back to mind my educational journey, which was non-traditional. And as we talk about how to help people who think, I can't do this, whether they're just graduating from high school or maybe they've been a stay-at-home mom and are ready to kind of finish their education and be able to join the workforce, or someone who just wants to get that MBA, get whatever it is that they need to take it to the next level. And for me, I entered college as soon as I finished high school, but I got married before I graduated, and I had a young child very soon. And so it was challenging, where I didn't want to leave my little boy so that I could go to classes. And this was a long time ago, back when the dinosaurs were still on the earth. And I did not have the option of doing an online course. So I had to research and figure things out. And for me, I felt like trying to figure out how to get a diploma gave me as much of an education as going to my classes did.
Sure.
So I researched, what can I do? How can I do this at home? And I ended up trying this thing and that thing and the other thing. And things didn't work for a while, but I was led to taking CLEP tests. And from there, I learned about credit banking. I don't even know if that's still a thing. But what it was is a university where you can attend whatever school you want to. But if you're accepted at this university that does the credit banking, then you can get your credits transferred over there. And then once you meet the criteria, then you can graduate. And I actually went through 3 different schools before I found something that was a good fit for me. And I was able to get that diploma, which meant a lot to me,
Sure.
even though it was hard. And I think if you really want something, there's always a way. And so for any of our listeners today who are thinking, I really want this, let's help them find the way. So now that we're no longer with the dinosaurs, what additional resources are there that maybe weren't there for me?
Absolutely. So first off, Linda, I want to say your scenario is extremely common. There are, as of 2022, 42 million Americans with some college and no degree. And that ranges from, out of high school, a few years taking a break, to people in their 60s and 70s who are just, trying to figure out how to go back and finish what they started. And the great news is there really has never been a better time for a working adult, a non-traditional student to go back to college, whether you're starting from zero or you're looking to transfer in credit. Perhaps you have some work skills. Regardless, if you're looking to get that degree attainment, no matter what level, there are more options that are more flexible and more attainable than ever before. And a lot of it has to do with the things that you mentioned, the ability to gather credits from a lot of low cost or no cost sources, CLEP being one of them. So glad you mentioned that. That's probably the best kept secret, frankly. In higher ed, I always tell people, if you're in high school, CLEP's a no-brainer. AP's a nice to do. CLEP's a no-brainer. $80 for a college credit. It's a great deal. But CLEP, there are third party online learning providers who provide classroom credit that you can transfer into universities. And more universities are accepting more and more credit as a percentage of their total degree. So just as an example, Columbia Southern and a few other schools, we accept up to 75% of a degree in transfer credit, which
Mm.
means you can accumulate your past experiences if you've gone to one, two, three different schools, community colleges, and everything in between, and have them evaluated. In addition, we do what a few other schools do, which is we also evaluate the training that individuals receive as part of their job or their career path. So if you work in a vocational area, if you were in the military, if you've taken tests for certifications, things of that sort, many schools, including ours, will evaluate that and convert that certification or that training into college level credit. So altogether, combined with what are more common as very low costs for degrees, you can save a lot of money. And just as importantly, Linda, you can save a ton of time. So rather than thinking I've got to go to school for 4 years, you can cut so many weeks, months, years off of that degree path and not only achieve your dream sooner, but achieve the outcome that you want for that degree even sooner.
Ooh, outcome. Doesn't that matter? Okay. So I would love, if it's okay, let's expand on some of those. So
Sure.
I already talked about CLEP tests a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and everybody, I mean, seriously, this is the olden days. I went to the library, I got a book on CLEP tests. I studied, I practiced, I took the test, however many it took. Um, but you also mentioned another thing, and I've heard it called portfolio. Is there another word for it?
Yes,
Where you,
there's
yes,
yes.
please.
Portfolio, there's a few different areas. So there are portfolio or what are known as prior learning assessments.
Prior learning.
So for researching a university, you can go to their website, go to the search button, and just literally type in prior learning assessment, and it will hopefully provide you their policies on evaluating prior learning and training and credits as part of your transcript, what you're having evaluated for transfer credit, in addition to the normal transfer credit policies they have. So prior learning assessment is the general term for that, and you'll find that at a large number of schools. Now, it varies in terms of what they'll provide credit for, but it's a great place to start. The other place to start is to look at third party organizations that provide online courses, whether it be Smart Thinking or Sophia, onlinedegree.com, and others that partner with universities, have their programs evaluated, and will accept many of their courses or testing as credit into the degree. And all you really have to do is look for, just do Google search for online transfer credit providers. There are a number of them, and they seem to pop up every day. Now, you have to be very careful and make sure that if you find that provider, make sure you find the corollary in the university or college you're looking at, confirm from their end, whether with their admissions person or in their catalog, that they truly do accept that provider's program for credit.
Okay, Dale, that's important enough. Let's repeat that. So
Yes.
once I find it's like, hey, wow, there's this great way that I can get
Mm-hmm.
this online credit. Let me talk to the university that I would like to get my degree from and make sure that
Yes.
before I put my time and my money and my effort into this, that the university is going to accept it. So communication is very important, I think, throughout the
Absolutely.
process.
Absolutely. Yes. And make sure, even beyond that, that you see it written. Either see it written in one of three places, either on their website or in their catalog. Just so you know, most of, again, people don't know this. Every university is required, really by accreditation and by law, to have a catalog. Think of that catalog as their official notification of their school's policy, requirements, programs they offer, etc. At the end of the day, the catalog is rule. That's the bottom line. And you can simply search XYZ University catalog and look that up. So what's on their website, or what's on their catalog, or get a written communication from someone in admissions or in the registrar's office that yes, those credits will be evaluated and evaluated for acceptance. No one can guarantee acceptance. That's another very good important thing, but they can guarantee you that they will evaluate for acceptance. There are universities that have policies that state the acceptance of the transfer credit is up to even a program director. So someone who's over a particular degree program, they may have the final say as opposed to a centralized location. So regardless of that process, make sure you see it in writing somewhere before you assume and then enroll and you find out 2 months later, uh-oh, I thought I was going to transfer 24 credits. It's really 12. And that's going to cost you quite a bit of money.
It's so huge. Isn't
Mhm.
it wonderful that we have so many different ways to learn and different ways to be able to, I don't know, we can get an education from different forms, different sources,
Mhm.
and to be able to gather those together and have them accredited and say, hey, this counts toward a degree, I think matters because it really helps. I've had lots of neighbors and friends who I talk to them and they say, I am so good at what I do, but I don't have a degree. And it just kills
Mm,
me that these younger guys who are not as good at my job as I am are getting the promotions ahead of me. And
sure.
I could just, and the fight and the frustration and me being kind of a logical person, I'd say, well, then let's get you a degree. I mean,
Mhm.
here are the ways to do it. You can do this. Yes, you're intelligent. Yes, you have the skills. If we just need to jump through a hoop to get what you want to get, let's just jump through the hoop. It's not that hard. And
Well, sure, Linda. In fact, it's I use a phrase quite a bit. Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy, and just because it's easy doesn't mean it's simple. Um, it is simple to say, if I get that degree, I will get the tiebreaker. And I tell my kids, they're in their 20s, it's in this day and age, it's about a tiebreaker. There is a machine, oftentimes, a machine, an algorithm, some sort of intelligence that's going to evaluate your skills, your resume, your job application, whatever the case may be, to either hire or promote you. And when it comes down to it, you're going to get a score. And your degree simply be what breaks the tie between you and some other person. So it's a fairly simple concept, but it's not easy because you actually have to put the effort in and do it. Now, what I will say is people often make the mistake of trying to eat the entire cookie in one bite. So what I would tell your listeners, Linda, is remember, it's about a credential, but credential can be broken up into pieces. If you want to finish your bachelor's, make sure as you're going through your journey. So, for example, at CSU, you can get a what's called essentially a reverse degree, which is you may be in the bachelor's program, but once you achieve the associate's portion, you're going to get an associate's, which means, and many schools do this. So you have a credential on the way to the next credential. And you're not biting off the whole thing, but you're getting something to add to your resume, to add to your algorithm. The other thing is we offer dozens and dozens, and many schools do, certifications, undergrad and graduate certifications. In some cases, those certifications can carry quite a bit of weight when looking at very specific skill sets that employers may be looking for. So don't discount those as well. So degrees, by and large, are the most powerful asset you can have in terms of applying an educational background to a career path. But there are grades to those degrees, not literally, not A through F, but grades in terms of certification, associates, bachelor's, and then master's, and obviously doctoral is the terminal degree. So take it one step at a time to make it simple and easier for you as a person who's trying to also live your life at the same time.
I love that. I love being able to bite it in little chunks. And as we're talking about that, what we're looking for is maybe something to give me that edge, that
Sure.
that tiebreaker. And if I'm doing great and that one certification is enough to be my tiebreaker, that might be all I require. in order to get that next step. But if more, it's still a step on the ladder
Hmm.
to help me to get to where I want to be. Now, you called it a reverse. Can you? I've never heard that before. Is that
Sure.
like a,
So let's say that you are at 52 credits. You started college, you didn't finish, and you were going for the bachelor's degree way back when. Maybe you started a family or you moved or something got in the way. And you go back to school and you start to accumulate more credits through your education. Some institutions, or you can simply apply for it at your institution, ours would be one of them, where you can have the associate's degree recognized as part of your journey because you met the degree requirements for your associates on your way to your bachelor's.
okay, okay,
And
okay.
so, yeah, it's sort of reverse probably isn't the best word, but a reverted, or there's other terms for it. And each school will call it something different. But the key is, and the same thing with certifications. In many cases, I'll use ours as an example. A certification is simply a group of courses within a degree program. If you take those courses, you could theoretically have that certification as well as a credential on your way to the degree. So you think of it as you're stacking skills and you're stacking certifications or bona fides in your resume. You're stacking your CV with more formal education, but in smaller bite-sized chunks. That certificate on the way to a bachelor's, on the way associates on the way to a bachelor's, on the way to a master's.
Okay. So for my clarification, what we're talking about is let's look at what I've already done. I'm
Right.
not actually going backwards. I'm saying, here's what I've done. Is what I have already done, does that meet an associate degree? Does that
Yes.
meet a certification? Does that meet something that is going to help me be able to move through on my way? And I think it's very helpful. The word that I heard is, as I'm helping my kids get through college, is encapsulated, where I can go to school and have some college credit. And then if I stop, the college credit is almost like it disintegrates. It becomes obsolete. But if I encapsulate it in a degree, then I get to keep that forever. And it doesn't
Exactly.
mean that when I go back to school, I won't have to take some additional courses to maybe, meet whatever qualifications or changes that they've done. But it makes it so that I get to keep it and it doesn't disintegrate,
That's
so that you
beautiful.
can have something that took place a decade ago or two or three, and it still comes with me. So I would recommend to any of our listeners, if you have done some college but haven't been able to get that bachelor's degree or further, go ahead and see if what you have already done can be encapsulated at least in an associate degree, which you can keep forever.
That's beautiful. And the other one other mantra I always have is the worst they can do is say no. The reality is very few people ask. And so if you, as you said, if you are in school, you're taking college credits and you foresee an opportunity where you get to pause, absolutely look and see. And I love your phrasing. I'm going to steal that if you don't mind, Linda, to encapsulate what you already have, whether it's codifying that in the form of a certification or an associate's or additional certification. So that's fantastic.
Excellent. Wow. Okay. I hope that as people are listening, their eyes are just opening like, wow, there's more than one way to do this, and maybe I can do this. But I also don't want people to feel overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, there's so much I can never navigate this. So, obviously, they can go to you, and maybe that's a good first step. Or what would you recommend for somebody who's listening and thinking, maybe this is
Sure.
possible, but dang, can I navigate this?
Right. Well, I always recommend to folks, and I have a long history in the space, in the higher ed space. And you mentioned the intro, I've co-founded a company, and we specifically helped working adults, working professionals who were interested in an online degree figure out how to do it. And so I've talked to literally hundreds, well over 1,000 people with those exact same questions. And what I would always ask them to do is prioritize what's most important to you about the degree you're trying to achieve. Really, two things. The first is prioritization. So typically the things that are on the list would be number one is cost. Almost always number one is cost. Flexibility. And by flexibility, it's both in terms, it's things on how often do I have an opportunity to start the program? How structured are the courses in terms of having to be what's called asynchronous versus synchronous. Asynchronous being you can do the work kind of on your own time within the time frame of the course. Synchronous meaning there are live aspects of the program. Frankly, both programs have both options available. The best ones do. But synchronous timing is important to understand before you start, because if you have to be somewhere Thursday at 8 p.m., that may not be in the cards for you. Thirdly is support. The fact of the matter is a lot of working adults or non-traditional students haven't been to school in a while. And, having to take college algebra again or a 300 level course, you may need a little help kind of getting back into the flow of things, or simply understanding what it is you're taking. I mean, if I were in college again today, getting another master's, there are areas where I may need some support and I want to engage with someone in addition to my instructor to help me at 9 o'clock at night when I'm doing my work. Um, Transfer credit, as we've been talking about. Do you have transfer credit, both in terms of formal education as well as training, that is important for you to be able to bring into your degree to save time and money? And then lastly, last major thing, and there may be others, is how much engagement do you want with faculty and with staff to replicate sort of the traditional institution feel, or are you comfortable just typing all day and engaging with class that way? So what's important to you really is number one. And then secondly, probably parallel to this, is what is your objective? Is your objective, I simply need the credentials. I want to get in and out as fast as I can. And I just want to I want to be able to check that box. Is it, I want to switch careers. I want to learn something brand new because I've been doing X. My dream is to do Y, but I need to learn and gain the credentials required to be able to do Y. Or am I looking to advance my career? Am I looking to go from a nurse who's working radically varied shifts all day, every day, to getting off the floor and maybe managing a team? Am I looking to go from a cashier position in a retail store to an office environment that's going to require a bachelor's degree or even a master's degree? So are you looking for the credential? Are you looking to advance your career, or are you looking to switch careers? You're going to be typically one of those three categories. And once you align on which one of those there is, and then you determine what your priorities are, you now have a game plan to do the research you need to find an institution. So to use our institution as an example, Columbia Southern, we try to align what we do to address each of those things. So we have extremely low cost. We're among probably the lowest 1% cost for a degree in the country. Before transfer credits, a full bachelor's degree would be around $32,000. The vast majority of our students bring in transfer credits, which reduces that cost even further. So you're talking about a very affordable, even a bachelor's degree. And then a master's degree, you're talking somewhere around $13,000. So very, very affordable. We're not the only one, but we're certainly proud of where we sit in the lowest cost 1%. Flexibility, we have 11 start dates a year, which means you can choose to come into the program when it's most convenient for you. And then you can take the courses in 8 or 9 week stretches, and then choose when to take the next course through one of those multiple start dates through the year. So it really allows you to adapt the program to you as opposed to you having to adapt to the program. We're very proud of our extensive support, both in terms of faculty and student services. We accept up to 75% of a bachelor's and 66% of a master's degree in transfer credit, which is far more liberal than most institutions. And then our faculty provides not only the standard online course experience in terms of discussion threads and watching videos and reading content, but also provides twice during the term a live lecture that you can participate in real time or watch the recording and review. So you have that ability to interact with a real person in a real class who's a subject matter expert and ask the questions that are going to be important to the career you're looking to pursue. And so I'm not saying we're certainly the only one. There are a lot of very good colleges out there. But I think my point is mentioning these things is that they are very real And for someone who says, I don't think I can do it, or I have all these needs, I don't think a college is interested in meeting my needs because colleges are what I read colleges are. That's not true. There are universities that have figured out how to cater to non-traditional students, and we're very proud to be one of them.
That's beautiful. And I love how you went through and addressed specifically some of our needs, our cost, our flexibility, and being able to work with what I have already done.
Mm.
And I think those things matter. Isn't it wonderful that there are opportunities and options out there that we can move forward and we don't have to stay stuck? And sometimes all it takes is having the right know how. So I really appreciate you talking with me today to help open people's eyes and their awareness so they can recognize, really, that's not the way it was back in the olden days in the
Right.
dinosaurs. Things have changed. There are more opportunities, and that matters. If it's okay, before we close, I know a lot of people are kind of in a situation where they'd really like to create their own kind of job. Are there any things that can help us to be able to do that? It's like maybe I'm not super happy where I'm at. I'd like to do my own thing, but I'm not sure where to start.
Sure. And I think a lot of people don't know what they don't know when it comes to higher ed. I mentioned earlier the fact that you don't have to bite off an entire degree. Um, don't forget you have the ability to go to any university, look at their catalog, and decide you find courses that you are interested in that provide, if nothing else, a skill. And you can take a class. That doesn't have to be also a university. We are in an era where there is more low cost or free, simply education than there's ever been. Probably the biggest educator in the world right now, for good or for bad, is YouTube. Um, so if you want to learn or explore a skill area, I would take it in increments. Number one, research the potential thing you're interested in. Say someone wants to become a podcaster like you. They're impressed and they want to try to learn how to do what Linda does. So they want to understand podcasting. First thing I would do, go to YouTube, research it to try to understand it. Well, then you try it out. You gain education, free resources to learn the best practices around podcasting. But then you may decide, I want to turn this into a communications career. That's when it flips from being a podcaster, which is a very, very fantastic outlet, to being a communicator. And there's fantastic degree areas in communications. And so everything builds upon itself. So start at the very low cost, widely available area to understand, is this something I really want to do? What does it take to get there? How do I do it? How do I learn from the best like Linda? And then you take it up another level, maybe get a certification. And then you take another level up and you get a degree. And all the while you're doing it around your life. And over time, what's happening is you're adapting the education to fit in your life. And when it gets to the point when you're ready to really make a big step, that's when you can start adapting your life to fit in the education. And those two things start to meet and really, really drive your future aggressively.
Isn't that wonderful? And I just have this grin on my face and a smile in my heart because you're talking about education,
Right.
which is not necessarily the same as schooling. And
100%.
what we've been talking about quite a bit is checking boxes. Let's get that degree. Let's get what we need in order to kind of when we're in that tie, we want that tiebreaker. But the real reason of education is to learn something. And so I think that's very important to remember and put back into our expectation of what we want as we go to school, is we want to learn something that will benefit us and increase our skill set. So thank you for bringing that up. This has been such a delight. Is there anything else you want to make sure we cover before we
Sure.
close today?
One last point I would mention, obviously cost is a big deal to a lot of folks. One of the things I would also encourage you, if you work at a company that's, reasonably sized, medium or large company, please make sure you check to see if they offer tuition assistance or tuition reimbursement. That is free money. It sometimes comes with strings attached, but it's free money that you can use to help pay for education. We have an outreach team that works with companies, and we have hundreds that help pay for their employees to come to Columbia Southern University. I've worked with very large organizations to help their employees figure out which degree they want to use. But tuition assistance is another real powerful way to save significant dollars and really take advantage of the opportunities that your company and online higher ed can bring to you as a person. So I want to make sure I mentioned that before I left.
I'm so glad you did. And I have some of my cute neighbors. They're college kids. They're, out of high school and working their jobs, like at grocery stores that are helping. I didn't even know that those kinds of businesses offered it, but
Yeah.
they do. And so it's like a perpetual scholarship that as long as they continue working at that institution, then they have help. And I think, wow, you are smart. This is good stuff because education can be very expensive. And what we don't want is to go through and get a degree, get something, and then find out that we're in debt and that maybe we haven't learned the skill set that we need in order to get a job. And so we don't want that. We don't want just a degree that costs a lot of money. We want something that gives us that advantage so that we can move forward.
Yeah, it's funny, we have students probably up until very recently, our fastest growing cohort of students at CSU was in their 40s and above. Both people looking to finish, but also people realizing I'm in the last few years of my career. If I'm going to make the dollars, I need to retire. I need to get that promotion. I need to step it up. And so they're taking classes, but it is, despite what you see and read in the media, it is actually the best time there's ever been to go to college. 2/3 of our graduates the last 2 years finished with zero debt. 2/3.
That's important. That's a
Yeah.
good number. This is when I think zero is the best number.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's because they understand, and we really help them understand how to use the combination of transfer credit, corporate reimbursement, et cetera. And what you want is you want to make college a car payment, not a house payment. And so if you can come out and make it manageable, the best thing you can do is graduate with very little debt. And that way you're purely leveraging the education for you as opposed to leveraging the education to pay back someone. And so it's a great time to go back to school for sure.
So thank you so much for everything that you've shared today. This has been fantastic.
Thank you, Linda. It's been a pleasure being here, and I hope your audiences take something out of it. And
Thank
we
you.
look forward to seeing millions more get educated.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
In closing, I'd like to share a quote by Benjamin Franklin. He said, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." Today, I invite our listeners to invest in themselves through increasing their education. See you next time on Linda's Corner. Thanks for listening. Please share and subscribe to help us reach new listeners. And if you'd like to heal your life from the inside out, there is a free video series at hopeforhealingfoundation.org. Just click on the free stuff tab. I also invite you to grab a copy of one of my books, like Crushed, A Journey Through Depression, and You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. See you next time on Linda's Corner.